Sure.
Alright guys, here we are, day one at our campsite on Town. It was a pretty hard push to get here. Not as bad as we've done in the past, but not bad. And we just finished up our monster steaks. John, what do you think?
Outstanding.
Yeah, it's something that I've been doing for probably about 10 years. I've not done it one time. And I just think in the future we'll just do them all the time. Work out pretty good.
Wonderful.
So Andy, this is your first time you've been here. What do you think?
Incredible.
Are the portages what we said they were? Are they more or less crazy?
I thought we were going to be walking for 8 miles at a time, 5 miles at a time.
Yeah. Portaging, it's tough, but you're doing it for usually less than a mile. My good friend Dave
Whoever
Buellin.
doesn't know about teamwork should not be doing this.
I'm happy.
Dave, I'm glad you came along on this one. I know we weren't sure we were going to fit one together for you this year, so I'm glad you were able to make it.
No, I'm glad you did. 20 years in a row now. I haven't missed a year.
Absolutely.
Cool beans. That's good. That's good.
Hey Kevin, what do you think, bud?
All right.
As he chews and chews and chews and chews and chews some more.
That's all right. That's all right. All right, Pat. So what do you think?
I think we're having a wonderful time, and I think some young men who are in shape carried me today.
I'll tell you what, it was a pretty rough day getting in here. The Town portages aren't no joke. So now I'm taking a little picture right here, guys, of this little weed bed because I caught a pretty nice 2.5-pound bass here on one of the grass frogs. I think with all this grass around the lake, it's probably going to be a pretty effective lure this trip.
Yes.
I'm hoping so. Okay, my 20 years of coming up here to the Boundary Waters, I've never seen a snake, much less seen a snake with a toad in its mouth.
Yeah. Yep.
John Nelson saw this morning, and I wanted to get a video of it. This is pretty neat. It's kind of close, a big toad. It's even bigger snake. So a few years ago, I bought this hamper for clothes that I use it for dishes, and I used to hang this under my table, but now we decided to hang it up on the tarp, and it does a really good job. So basically we put all of our clean dishes in that hamper and they'll air dry. Works pretty nice. So Andy, here we are. This is day 3. This is your first trip here. You can't always have good days. We've had some really good days. The wind's been down a little bit, but today's we're windbound. So what do you think?
Oh yeah. Gotta have bad days to appreciate the good ones.
We had a little rain this morning. It's kind of spitting a little bit right now still.
Me and John were the first ones in before we got wet.
And the first one to bring a fish back today.
Yeah, fishing's been a little slow. Kevin, what do you think?
I'm happy.
You know, some days are just for resting and napping.
Yeah, we're kind of huddled up under the tarp today. But as I said, it's kind of windy out there. Dave and I went out into this little rock outcropping out here, and we caught walleye there yesterday, and we tried to do it today, but the wind's just too rough to sit out there. So we're kind of waiting for it to die down a little, and maybe we'll get out. So our campsite here on Town is a little tight. It's not a bad camp. It's a far northeast campsite on the point, and there's 3 tent pads, and we've got 3 tents here, and a couple hammocks set up. But our tents are all in a row here, so that's the only bad thing about the site. The rest of it seems to be pretty good. The camp's pretty nice as far as being shady. It's got a great fire pit out on the point. The fire pit out on the point seems to be very good. Our areas for landing the canoes are very nice. Down here, basically all of our canoes are up on the granite. Seems to be a good landing site for us. The rock's a little slippery, of course, in the rain, but you get that everywhere. But as far as things,
chef ever, right there.
As far as things go, it's a pretty good site. Andy, what do you think of the food?
kind of find myself having to choke it down a little bit. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
You can't even, I don't even eat this good at home, don't tell my wife.
we had some fish tacos last night. Basically, Kristen Embry brought the original idea for the tacos up here, and what we did with that is I basically got the taco work going with some taco seasoning. We used some chipotle seasoning, and we added some of the taco seasoning sauce, Taco Bell seasoning sauce. I added some chipotle, a little bit of oil.
You don't get fish tacos that good at a Mexican restaurant.
Marinated the fish in that, put them in a wrap, put a little bit of some onions, some pickled onions that we brought in, some cabbage. Worked pretty good.
This is Monday. This is the wind we were having all day. Started in the south, now moved to the west. Windy, John?
Huh?
Is it windy for you?
Plenty windy. Plenty windy.
Hey John, when do you want to go out there, man?
It'll be a while. We're gonna wait a little while. I'm gonna take a bath, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's the waves out from the camp.
And like all trips, you have some days where the weather just changes. It started out reasonably okay, bluebird skies this morning, and I think the temperature dropped probably 10-15 degrees through the day, and the wind picked up. It's been blowing about 15, maybe 20 miles an hour today.
35 at times. Woo!
Our whole camp, basically, we had earlier today, our table and stuff was set up under our tarp, as you can see. Then we ended up moving it way back in the corner by a rock to actually cook. Put a new tarp up over there to just block the wind a little. But it's been pretty rough. We did manage to catch a few fish today. Dave Buellin and I went over to, where did we go, Gun?
Boo, Berry, and Gun.
And it was worth the trip just to see something new, but the fishing was not what I would call stellar.
It was better than staying on this lake.
That's correct. We caught fish. I think I caught a 5 or 6 pound northern. We caught a decent, maybe 2-3 pound walleye, and 3 or 4 largemouth bass, and that's what we ate tonight. Worked out real good.
Good fish.
Yeah, fried fish up here is one of my favorite meals. It seems to go well. It's not good for you, but every once in a while it's not going to hurt anything. And there's Andy and John coming back in. They went out fishing.
30-inch walleye go, man. He was just too big. I really felt uncomfortable bringing him on the boat. Isn't that what you said, George?
Yeah, you caught a 30-inch walleye?
Yeah, you said if you feel uncomfortable bringing it in the boat, don't do it?
Yeah, that's right.
Let him go, man.
Yeah, I'm calling BS.
I got to take care of the walleye.
So last night we had a front blow in, and when we came in yesterday, it started dropping probably around 5 o'clock. High was probably 72, 73 yesterday.
I was sweating yesterday. It was that warm.
It started dropping all through the day, and now everybody's got on wool hats and long johns and multiple layers. I think this morning it was 51 degrees, and I think it's still probably in the 50s.
Probably 52 now.
Yeah. We're debating whether we're going out canoeing, fishing this morning, because the wind's still howling. It's probably blowing You know, 20 at some times sustained, maybe 10 most of the times, but it's been real windy today, so fortunate we've got food for tonight. Tonight's red beans and rice night, which will work out. But I think Dave and a few of us are going to go out and try to get some walleye.
Lots of fish.
So here we are. We had to move where we're doing our food and cook prep area because it's so dang windy. Fortunately, Pat Kennedy brought an additional tarp, and that tarp is blocking the wind right here for us. I've never brought eggs, real eggs and hash browns and all that kind of jazz, and Dave Buelen's been bringing it every year.
Is that trash?
And he convinced me to bring it this year.
All trash? No.
So we're sitting here doing hash browns and eggs, and we're going to do burritos with sausage and salsa, and it turns out really good. So Dave, I appreciate you talking me into this. An old dog can learn new tricks.
You're very welcome. Glad I could help, and I benefit from it too.
Hey Dave.
One thing that we're forgetting here with Dave Buelen. He's from Hartford, Connecticut. He has his own cooking show weekly for people camping and hunters that goes out and does this thing. So we're very lucky to have him with us. Now he doesn't like to brag about it down here, but we have seen copies of his show where he does do some amazing things out on the campground.
You got those bootleg copies out in Thailand,
We're very lucky to have Dave with us because he's given us a lot of insight and a lot of good tips on cooking in the wild. So we're eating well.
So Dave Shreve, you've been up here a couple times before. This is your second time.
This is my second time.
Have you had weather this cool?
No.
So this
I
is.
don't do weather this cold if I have an option. I'd be making a reservation if it got this cold back home.
Well, you know, this is common for this time of year. The fronts blow in and it can drop your temperature 15-20 degrees overnight. Now, as we were stating earlier with the fishing, I'm really hoping that this either stays here and stabilizes for a couple days or blows out quickly. Either way, we'll have fishing in a couple days. But if it blows in and changes and blows in and changes, I think the fishing will be a little tough for the rest of the week.
Well, I've got plenty of tuna in my backpack, so I'm going to have fish no matter what happens. But the fish last night was fantastic. You know, the fishing is part of it, but the sitting around, and I wish there was more sitting, had a little more comfortable place to sit around. And
you don't like the granite we've got?
The camaraderie. Well,
The seats are good, just the wind's a little
the wind's a little tough, and the area's great. If the wind was down and it was, you know, 65 and above, it'd be a little better. But,
well, I tell you what, this campsite, I guarantee you this is a prime site when it's bug season, because the wind really keeps the bugs off this site. If it's coming out of the west, I guarantee you there's no bugs on this site. But you're right, we've got a little
as cold as it is either.
We've got a little northwest wind right now, and like I said, it dropped the temperature 15 degrees overnight, and that wind chill's probably down to about 40, so it's cold.
This is a great campsite. I mean, not just because it's on the point, but the way it's laid out. It's, you know, a great campsite. But so the only thing that's not in the top 10 right now is the weather.
Yeah, it's a little rough right now, but hopefully it'll get better, and we'll have some good fish in the next few days. We got 4 days left here, so we're halfway through the trip.
And you know what? With the weather bad, John Nelson don't come out of the tent as much, so that makes it even better.
Woo, gosh, you guys are talking trash.
Hey, John, what do you think of this weather?
It's a little bit nippy compared to Louisville right now.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's the kind of weather you expect up here. You just got to work with it.
Yeah. John's carrying, we brought some worms in this year. We usually don't bring in a lot of live bait either, but I'll tell you what, John's been catching quite a few fish on the night crawlers. Quite a few, you know, 10 a day maybe, but fishing's been slow. 5 a day. Fishing's been slow, but we've had 2 fish meals, and it's been enough to feed us, so it's good enough, but not what we expect.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Okay, I'm recording. So here we are in Foretown, and this is probably one of the bigger smallmouth we've caught. We found a little submerged reef out here, and we've caught one fish off of it. Probably should have caught 4 or 5. We've seen a couple pike, seen a couple walleye. It's not a monster, but it's a good solid.
Might get 3.
He's a good solid 3-pounder. One of the bigger fish we've caught this trip.
I'm recording here, so let's see this little fish there. Yeah, that's the fish I caught. There's other fish that you caught. What could I tell you?
John and Andy sitting out on a little cut that we found a few days ago. We've been catching quite a bit of walleye out here. Big hammer swim bait worked real well. So we figured we'd come back out and try it again here. We should be able to catch a few today, but it's bluebird. Got a little walleye chop. It may be a little tough today though. Okay, it's on.
Well, this is day, I don't know, 6 out of 8 or something like that, and weather's finally good. We got beautiful skies. It's had a nice breakfast, pancakes, bacon, a little coffee. Slept really good last night, missed all the snoring. I just got to redeem myself a little bit today. I got to catch some fish. Geo put them all on the stringer yesterday. I got to hit me a walleye. I got to get my pride back.
Yeah, so what you failed to say is on 5 or 6 casts I had 5 or 6 bites. Landed 4 of 6 walleye. I had a northern 2, but for just a few minutes, 15 minutes, this spot was crazy. They were just pounding it.
Yep. And then Geo showed me how to fish it. But not until he was done.
Yeah, well, that's the way it rolls sometimes. So fishing has been a little slow, and we've had a lot of bluebird days, so we took use of the well that's here, and Dave and I were able to manage to catch quite a few walleye yesterday, well within our limit, and we brought them back and stuck them in the well for dinner tonight. There's probably half a dozen, 6, 7, 8 walleye in here, and that should be adequate for dinner the next night. Tomorrow, if this weather stays in like it is, we may have a tough time getting fish for dinner. John Nelson and the other guys went out this morning and caught a gigantic mess of bluegill. I hope somebody got a picture of them because they were some of the biggest bluegills that I've seen up here. Easily pounder, pound and a half gills. They are really nice. So this is our Foretown campsite. Vantage point from up above. And as you can see, the tent pads are a little tight. We have 3 tents right in a row there. But the fire pit's out on the point. And that really eliminates wind. Or I'm sorry, eliminates bugs in the wind. And all in all, this has been a fantastic site. Works really good. Lots of room. The pine needles are a bonus. All in all, it's been a pretty good campsite for us. I got him.
Did he miss?
I'm taking the video. And now we just watched an eagle come down and nail the fish that we have sitting there. That was freaking awesome.
We turn around and went back. You coming back this way, Dave? No, he's going home. Let me look and see if my road is still up there. How cool would that be to test it out?
And sometimes this is what these sunsets look like here in the Boundary Waters. This is just freaking spectacular. The water looks like glass. Dave and I are trying to get the last couple walleye of the trip. I don't know if we're going to catch any tomorrow, but we're out here tonight trying to get a few.